This is the Bentley Bentayga, and it's Bentley's first ever SUV. Now, some people say it looks a little bit vulgar, but this is what it could have looked like. This is the original concept for the car, which was unveiled in 2012, and it got such a bad reaction they decided to tone it down to produce this more curvaceous design. Though in hindsight, I think this looks better. It looks more Bentley-like. Anyway, this car starts from around £135,000. But if you click up there, you can go to carwow.co.uk and compare offers on the Bentley Bentayga. That's right, at CarWow, we can get you deals not only on budget cars, but right the way through to Bentleys. So, what's this car like on the inside? Well, I'll tell you, it feels like a proper Bentley. Yes, you are sat up high, but it still has that Bentley feel and that classic Bentley look, such as the two-hoop dash design. You've got things like these organ stops, which control the airflow through the chunky air vents. Just exquisite in here. I'm not the biggest fan of this colour of wood. I think it's a little bit old-fashioned, but you can get lots of different veneers if you prefer, and it does feel quality. So do most of the things that you touch. I mean, the steering wheel's lovely. It's just great, and there's so much dead cow in here. I mean, this one's got the roof lining as well. You feel cocooned in luxury, which is how it should be in a Bentley. I also like the fact that things like this, look, the little window switches have a little metallic edge to them, so they just feel posher. However, these switches here on the dash are a little bit on the cheap side. They just don't suit the car. It's a shame really, because I like the way that you've got the temperature for the heating vent in the dial. Another thing that I'm not so keen on is the infotainment screen. So it's just a little bit low def really. It's great that you can navigate quickly using these shortcut buttons, which are physical, but the definition isn't particularly good at all really. It's a shame. Now, you get another display in between the analog dials, and I like the fact that Bentley is stuck with analog rather than digital dials like you can get in something like an Audi Q7, which incidentally, this car is actually based on, so it's actually underneath. It's very similar to the Audi Q7, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you've got like Audi Q7 switch gear here, so the indicator stalk and stuff like that, because, I mean, the only people who are going to notice that are motoring journalists. It feels quality, it's absolutely fine. There's practicality galore in here as well. You've got big door bins that can fit 2 bottles, a big one and a small one. You have some deep cup holders there. A nice big space for your mobile phone. It's grippy as well, so it won't slide about. And you could even fit probably an iPad mini in there. There's your glasses holder. Oh, while I'm at it, look at the big posh Bentley key. Lovely, feels expensive. And under here, you've got some more space and your USB inputs and your aux in as well. So yeah, decent practicality. Oh, and I almost forgot the glove box, which is large enough. Speaking of large enough, you'll need to have large pockets if you want to start fitting options to this car. So this one has about 65 grand's worth of extras on it. That includes stuff like the Mulliner driving specification, which includes quilted leather, this upgraded steering wheel, and lots of extra loveliness. We've also got a 9 grand name audio stereo, and it's the best stereo I have heard in any car I've tested so far this year. Listen to this. Just no distortion and loads of bass. You can get some other options as well. You see this Bentley clock up there? If you'd rather have a proper Breitling one that's made out of gold and has diamonds in it, this one here, in fact, it's £110,000. You can also get this lovely hamper set for your boot, which is £22,000. And you can spend quite a bit of money on one of these, a special aluminium dog carrier for your Bentayga, so it doesn't roam around the boot and make it all dirty. Anyway, speaking of carrying things, not animals, people, so let's move into the back seats. So the Bentayga is available as a 7-seater if you get the diesel version, which is what this is. However, this is the diesel, but it doesn't have the 7 seats, it's the 5-seat specification. And in 5-seat mode, yeah, there's plenty of room. Look at it, you can tell I've got plenty of room, lots of knee room, loads of headroom. We've got a massive sunroof. It's absolutely huge, and it helps brighten the interior. And the front part opens as well, so it can create quite an airy feel. The quality continues back here. You know, you've got all these things like blinds if you need them to block out the outside world. And the seats are lovely. The base is deep, so you get lots of underleg support. If you need to carry 3 at once, you can. It's a wide car, plenty of room in the middle seat. And you've got extra bits and pieces like an armrest and cup holder, which has a shiny bit around it because, of course, it's a Bentley. And this one has the rear entertainment system, so turn it on and you can operate it. It's a touchscreen. There's also, look at this down here. I love the way that does that. You've got a little tablet to control things like the rear air conditioning and stuff like that, which is nice and handy. Good little feature. There's some 12-volt charging points there for everyone's mobile phone. We've got these little flop out picnic tables, although there's not much room to put your food or your drink when you've got this rear entertainment system. But I do love the design of that. That's solid metal. It just feels quality. Needless to say, that's an extra. In terms of the seating itself, you can recline the seats slightly, though I would like them to be able to recline a little bit more. This is a Bentley after all, and I can slide them. Come on, slidey, slidey, if you want to make a bit more boot space. But no, I think knee room is more important. And look, yeah, you can really stretch out. And it's dead easy to relax, especially if you spend an extra £500 for the 2 extra rear upgraded headrests. Look at that. Now, I should also point out that you can get this car with a 2-seater arrangement in the back rather than this 3-seater, which is even more luxurious. Oh, look, I've noticed this as well. Look, metal coat holders there. So, in other cars, they're plastic and cheap feeling, but not in a Bentley, of course. Everything has to feel that little bit nicer, and indeed, it does. That's what you're paying your money for, isn't it? Let's move on to the boot. So this one has the optional hands-free tailgate. So if I do that, it should open, or not. Come on, or not. Or not. Let's try locking it and unlocking it. Try again. That's good, isn't it? How much is that? Wait a second. Okay, I've just checked the price list and it's a £700 option, yet it's temperamental. Anyway, back to the luggage space. So the boot isn't quite as big as a Range Rover's, but it's going to be big enough for most people. And if you need to carry more stuff, just send your luggage ahead with your butler. It's Bentley. You'll have a butler, won't you? In terms of lifting things in and out, don't worry about the raised ride height because the air suspension is lowerable. Look at that. Just lower it down, make it a bit easier. And it's finally done its thing. You'll see that there's no load lip. You've got this scuff plate as well, so you don't damage your paintwork when you do that and slide things in and out. I really do love the feeling of the carpet in this car. I mean, throughout it, the carpet is just exquisite. Everything you touch just feels solid and expensive. Even this cover here, which underneath you can see a space saver spare wheel, which is still quite big because of the size of this car. If you want to carry long items, large items, you can fold down this central seat here. There you go, for some through loading with 2 passengers either side. What does annoy me a little bit is that if I want to fold these 2 seats down on this particular car I've got here, I have to go back round, there we go, and do it actually at the seat bases. You know, this should be fully electric as standard on a car such as this. Once you do that, you get a big load space, but you will notice there's a slight hump, not when pushing the things in, but when you try to pull them back out from the front. So it's not completely flat, but really, it's not that big a problem. Now, if you click it there, you can see my detailed practicality video on the Bentley Bentayga. You can see just how much stuff you can fit in this car's boot, what it's like with 3 adults in the back, and just how easy it is to fit a child seat. Now then, it's time to see what this car is like to drive. Well, this is a little bit unusual. Driving off-road through a load of mud in a Bentley. I've never done this before. It's kind of odd, really. Like sitting in this luxurious vehicle, which is a bit like a drawing room, and yet we're going off-road. It's not the most extreme off-road course. I'm sure it could deal with something a bit tougher than this. It's going to be more than adequate for traversing your country estate, though maybe for extreme hardcore off-roading, something like a Range Rover will be slightly better. Still, I do have special controls down here to put it into different modes for like muddy ruts. There's a sand dune setting as well. Great if you're from the Middle East and want to go blast this thing over a bunch of dunes. Anyway, let's actually take this car on road, which is where it's actually going to be used for 99.999 recurring % of the time. This big old Bentley is pretty good to drive in town, especially because the air suspension and the fact that you've got that jacked up ride height makes it brilliant for going over speed humps. It deals with potholes excellently as well. And it's imposing, so people tend to get out of your way and let you through gaps. You also sit up high so you get a good view over of the traffic. It's not the highest seating of all the SUVs, but it's high enough. The only drawbacks really are the fact that you've got quite a big pillar there, which creates a big blind spot, and the back window isn't all that big. On the flip side though, you've got huge rear view mirrors, so you can see pretty well what's behind you. Now if you click up there, you can see for yourself what the visibility is like and more information on what this car's like to drive in my point of view test drive video. Perhaps the thing that really stands out about this car is just how relaxing it is, especially when you're cruising on the motorway. It's super quiet, you hardly get any wind noise, even though it's quite a tall vehicle. I've got the drive select mode in comfort setting and it just wafts along beautifully. Though according to the Bentley engineers, you want it in Bentley mode because then that's the best of both worlds in terms of handling and comfort. It just feels like such a special machine to travel in. It's glorious. I could do mile after mile after mile in this thing, no problem at all. I really like the active cruise control again with lane keeping assist, so I can press this button here to keep me a safe distance from the car in front, then this button here and it'll steer the car to keep it in lane, though you do have to keep your hands on the steering wheel, otherwise it'll disengage. But that system is brilliant for taking the sting out of long journeys because it does most of the work for you. You just have to monitor it. This particular car has the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 diesel with 435 horsepower and it can go from 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. It's really fast. Put your foot down. Yeah, it picks up really nicely and it flies. Yeah, it'll return, according to Bentley, 35 miles per gallon and I'm averaging 30 miles per gallon, which is really quite incredible considering the size and the performance of this car. Now, Bentley owners probably don't care about fuel bills really. It's not really on their radar. What's more important to them is the fact they don't want to have to stop regularly to fill up, and that's why this diesel could be a good choice. But really, this car is best with a 6-litre, 608 horsepower W12 twin-turbo petrol engine. So that has so much performance. It is the fastest SUV you can buy with a top speed of 187 miles an hour. The only problem is that you will be filling up that car more often than this diesel because it only does 20 miles to the gallon. But it sounds awesome and it absolutely flies with a 0 to 60 time of just over 4 seconds. Should also mention the gearbox. It's nice and smooth when you want it to be, and when you put your foot down it responds quickly, and if you want to you can change gears yourself using the paddles, because after all Bentleys are supposed to be the height of luxury but with a sporty edge to them. Speaking of sporty, I can turn this dial again and put the car into sports mode, which firms up the suspension. Now this particular car has optional upgraded suspension which stops it rolling about in the corner so much, and you know, this is a big old car, 2.5 tons, and yet it's cornering completely flat. This is insane. It does run out of ideas if you push it too hard, and the brakes certainly get a workout because of all that mass, but my gosh, this thing handles really well for a big SUV. Bentley's used to making big cars handle surprisingly well, and they've applied that knowledge to this Bentayga. This really is a very rounded car. It's hard to not like it.
However, this car isn't all perfect. Here's 5 annoying things about it.
Underneath the bonnet of your Bentley, you'd hope to see a beautiful looking V8 engine, but all you actually get to see is a load of black plastic. Shame. On first inspection, I really like the fact that Bentley has given this car a solid metal fuel filler cap, but if someone never puts it on there when they're filling up and just lets it hang, they'll scratch the side of their car. Also, I don't know why Bentley didn't go the whole hog and make this AdBlue filler cap nice metal as well. Most SUVs have a handy retractable load cover. This has a normal parcel shelf like you'd find in something like a Volkswagen Golf. It is a lot more expensive feeling and chunkier, but that does mean that it's kind of hard and heavy to remove. Also, there's nowhere really to leave it and hide it away when you remove it, so it has to just go in the boot like that, taking up unnecessary space. You'd expect that if you pay £135,000 for a car, you get a first aid kit with it as standard, but you don't with the Bentley Bentayga. You have to pay an extra £105 for this little kit. Now for that money, you'd expect each and every single bandage to be Bentley logoed, but they're not, they're just normal. So I wouldn't buy that, I just let them bleed. I have 2 problems with this car's voice command system. The first is the jingle when you engage it, which sounds like some sample of an old Pac-Man video game, and then there's the voice of the woman who actually speaks to you, so have a listen. Call Matt Watson.
Did you mean Watson, Matt?
Who the heck is Watson? It's Watson.
Don't worry, there's still plenty to like about this car. Here's the CarWow 5 cool features.
Isn't it annoying when someone gets out your car and they don't slam the door hard enough, so it's always left ajar? You don't have to worry about that with the Bentley Bentayga because of its soft close function. Look, you can even close the door with your face. Ta-da! The motor for the electric window is just so quiet. Have a listen to this. You can hardly hear it. Now don't worry if some noisy oik turns up to have a nose round your car if you've got the optional acoustic glass, because you can just shut out their racket. And then there was peace on earth. You can get the Bentley Bentayga with an optional night vision camera, which could prove rather useful if you end up in a real-life zombie apocalypse. Most cars only have one sun visor, which is great when you're just going in a straight line, but if you're on a twisty road, the angle of the sun may change. That's why the Bentayga has two sun blinds, so you're always nicely shaded. You'd hope that a car as big as a boat has a horn as loud as a ship's. Fortunately, the Bentayga has. Now, if you click up there, you can go to carwow.co.uk for more information and to compare deals on the Bentley Bentayga or any new car for that matter. So then my verdict on it: should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Bentley Bentayga. It's a little bit ostentatious, but it's a blooming lovely car. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it and subscribe to our channel, and click on the windows for more detail and video content on this car. Now, did you spot the Easter egg in this video? It was the picture of W.O. Bentley with his dog in the car's centre console on the mobile phone.